SBN, Sports Business Now.
SBN is a division of Row27, the digital sports marketing company, celebrating 5 years of creating TV spots, intro videos, and microsites for over 150 teams. See our work at row27.com. And by FanMaker, digital marketing tools for sports teams, featuring FanMaker Rewards, the most comprehensive and popular fan loyalty and rewards system. Learn more about our apps at fanmaker.com.
SBN, Sports Business Now.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Sports Business Now Live. I'm Holly Koski, and today we are talking with Gary Vaynerchuck of VaynerMedia. And he's worked with some great teams like the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Jets, and the NFL. He's also regarded as a social media guru, and he's going to give us some of his insights on the sports business industry. Gary, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Your agency, VaynerMedia, has worked with teams like the New York Jets, Brooklyn Nets, and the NFL, as well as other large brands like PepsiCo, NBC, and Warner Brothers. What are some of the things that private sector brands such as these can transfer over to the sports world?
Well, I mean, I think that, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? So what I think I do is reverse engineer. I just need to understand what your business is trying to do and then find a path to it. And so what VaynerMedia right now does is it does that through social media marketing, which we classify as content marketing and community management. So how do we produce the content that you put out on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram, and how do you community manage on those platforms? And how do you really get the biggest value out of that channel, which I think is emerging as an extremely important, if not the channel of choice.
And, sports evoke a ton of passion from their fans. So many are emotionally invested into the product, like you are with your Jets. Unfortunately, this season was a tough year for you. But what can a brand, such as Pepsi, can really pull in from teams in terms of creating and capturing that positive fan sentiment?
Meaning as the brand itself, or leveraging sports communities to get that? As itself, like strictly outside the sports world, or how it leverages the sports world to help its business?
Strictly outside the sports world, just kind of how really fans are just so passionate about their team. How can brands make them so passionate about their company?
Well, they have to do what sports does, which is bring value, right? And so I never expect a soda beverage or a bottled water or, a lot of things will never, ever invoke the equity that a sports team will. But there are toys, there are, technology devices, there are clothes, there are sectors that can evoke. They just have to do as good of a job storytelling as sports has. So recognizing everybody's now a media company, these companies are now starting to be asked to tell stories, and they're going to have to start understanding content very quickly.
And speaking of content, you were just at the Sloan Sports Analytics Conference and said if you're putting videos on Facebook that are over 10 seconds, they're not going to work. Yet we still see 3-minute videos. Why do you feel that way?
Well, just because I look at data that shows me that in A/B testing environments, our videos that are under 10 seconds are outperforming anything over it. So that's why I believe it. Why do I think people still put out 3-4-minute videos? Is I don't think they've tried to figure out the science of EdgeRank and content production on Facebook.
What are your thoughts on the new EdgeRank on Facebook? It's created quite the stir with brands.
You mean today, or
yes,
the depletion of impressions and the ad thing?
Both.
I think today's is interesting, expanded pictures, wider, more impressive. Music is going into feed now. Feed continues to evolve the same way search did for Google. As far as the ads and the reach, I still think if you put out good content, you can be very successful. I think Facebook would be foolish to tinker with it and try to make their ad product more successful, because they're going to lose equity and respect of the brand. So I think it's just a lot of bad content marketers not doing a good enough job.
And I know you're coming out with a new book this fall, correct?
That's right.
And you're really, one of your main points is that content, giving, like you've said in a couple other interviews. What can sports teams do in terms of content marketing? I know a lot of them don't really invest a lot in that space. Where do you see they can improve on that?
Just by putting the effort and going all in and realizing that as much effort as they put into trying to get banner ads for their .com, they need to also figure out how to produce creative to push out on social. So unique storytelling, featuring every player on the team, not just the star, getting the fans involved, gamification. There's just so much that can be done. They just have to stop being half pregnant.
Not just featuring Mark Sanchez, right?
That's right. And that was one of the first things I said to them when we worked together. And the same thing I say about Deron Williams, and the same thing I'll say about every star athlete. You can't predicate everything just on the star player. They can get hurt. They can be forced to be traded. They can have a down season. And so I think that there's a lot of stories. I mean, you look at what's working on television now. Whoever thought a pawn shop owner or a storage unit auctioneer would ever become famous or worthwhile? But that's what's happening. And listen to the story of my life. I was a wine retailer video blogger, and I built a platform off of it. So I think that it predicates much further than just a star player.
And what is one thing that teams can do now that will dramatically, make a difference on their bottom line?
Well, I think they can sell sponsorship against their communities if they do it properly. So if they understand how to monetize their community properly through content and through bringing value and walking that very fine Mendoza line of being able to deliver content that's valuable but also make it sponsorshipable and not spammed out, they can really predicate a real business opportunity to make a lot of money on.
And what are a few things that you see as the next big ideas to really take off in sports? You're on the cutting edge of social media, and what do you see in the future as really being important?
I think Google Glasses in the next 5 years will really matter. I think Google Glass is going to be a big deal. I think the way we consume sports in real life with Google Glass is going to change tremendously. Replays right in our eyesight without taking out our phone. So I think Google Glass is going to have the biggest impact on the sports business, and I think we'll feel the effects of that 5 years from today.
Google Glass, definitely the evolution of the second screen, more like, the screen right in front of you. Thank you so much, Gary, for taking the time out to join us today. Thanks for having me, and I wish you guys success. I love what you're doing. And if you liked our interview with Gary V, you can check us out on Tuesdays for Sports Marketing Now at 3 p.m. Central Time, and Thursdays for Sports Business Now Live, which is a weekly wrap-up show of all of the latest news, best practices, and trends from the week of sports. Those are on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Central Time as well. You can find us online at sportsbusinessnow.com or on Twitter at SBNow. We'll see you next time.
SBN, Sports Business Now.